Hello everybody. Welcome to Creating the Basic Adaptable Game Engine Library, Part 22, Using Input in a Game. In previous videos, we created a game class, which handles drawing sprites on a canvas. And in a test example, we made a sprite move continuously across the screen. However, video games are interactive. And so, in more recent videos, we created an input class, which detects keyboard input from the user. In this video, we're going to incorporate the input class into the game class, and then change up our test example so that we're able to move the sprite around the screen using the arrow keys. So to begin, let's open up our development environment. I'm still using IntelliJ. And let's go to the game class. In the game class, I've added some comments since the video. Of course, as always, this is all available on GitHub. I'm going to add a new object. The main class creates the window and group objects. It's also now going to create an input object. So let's say this also creates a public input object called input. Now, within the start method, we create a scene. We also remember from when we created the input class that the scene is what listens for input in the application. As long as the window has focus, if any keyboard keys are pressed, the scene will call some functions for us. So when we create the input object, that's a new input, we need to pass it the scene. All right, the other thing we need to do, remember in the input class, the events are processed asynchronously. We have to call the update method on input to go through the different queues of keys which have been pressed and update the corresponding lists in the input class. So the next thing we want to do is update user input. So we'll say input.update. All right. So that's really about all we have to do in the game class. Let's go back to our test game example. All right, in test game, we created a sprite, and then within the update function, let me go ahead and space that back out, it automatically moves across the screen. So what I'd like to do now is go ahead and run this so we can be reminded of what it looks like. So we'll run test game, and we should still see a basketball moving diagonally across the screen. Now, our goal is going to be to control it using some keys. So let's go ahead and add some code here. Instead of this, I'm going to go ahead and comment that out. In the update method, I'm going to add some if statements. Let's say, for instance, if input.isKeyPressed, this is monitoring for key input. Let's say I'm looking for the right key. In that case, I'll say ball.position.addValues, and I want to move it to the right, so I want to add a positive value to the x coordinate. And so I'll add 1, or maybe 2, so it'll move a little bit faster. And I want to do something similar for each direction. So for example, if we press left, maybe that will be a -2. Let's say if we press up. In that case, we always have to remember the way the y-axis is oriented when we talk about computer graphics. So moving up, that's actually the negative y direction. And down, we want to add the values 0 and 2. Also, to illustrate discrete events, maybe we want to reset. Right? So I could do something like is input is key just pressed Z. Maybe that will set the ball to a position, maybe set values. And we'll just set that to 0, 0. And so I'll just move it back into the top left corner of the screen. So we can use that to reset. The reason you might use is key just pressed here is that when the user's holding down the Z key, in this case, you don't need to keep setting the values to the same thing over and over. It's more efficient to just set them once. All right, I'll remove this bit of code right here. Let's go ahead and give this code a try. Let's run, test game. To begin, we should see our basketball here. And let me go ahead and press some keys. I'm going to make sure this has focus. And let's see. Pressing right and nothing's happening. Let me think about this. All right, I just did a quick debugging. That's a great thing about videos. You don't have to spend your time watching me debug. This shouldn't be a problem in your code if you're downloading it, but somehow I had lost the exclamation point, the not, in front of my just pressed Q for loop in the input class, but I put that back in. The code we've written is fine, so let's go ahead and run that one more time. So if I press the right key, there it goes, the left key, down and up, and if I press Z, it goes right back into the corner. So, fantastic. And I can even press more than one key at once to have the ball move around at combinations of movements. If I press left and right at the same time, it's not going to move because those cancel each other out. The same thing with up and down. So really no key has priority over the others. But there we go. That's how you integrate the input class into a game. That's how we're going to be able to move around our sprites. So we're getting really close to creating our first game called Starfish Collector. And we'll do that in a future video. But that's it for now. Thanks for watching.